Damn it, Russell!
I never even got to say goodbye.
They can't stop them. We gotta get that antidote. Maybe he can help us stop the other two.
Okay.
Now you can go up there and distract your friend while I get there.
How the hell did we get up?
The movie kicks off in space on a wrecked spaceship. Inside, there's this scientist named Atkins. She and her crew were doing tests on a little rat, but the experiment goes south. The rat turned into a massive beast. Atkins managed to survive so far. She's heading for the escape pod and hitting up mission control to tell him what went down. But her boss Claire isn't letting her bounce. She locks the door to the Claire orders her to grab the samples before she leaves. She's like, either. So Atkins has no choice and has to head back to the lab. She grabs 3 samples of this stuff called CRISPR. But right then, that giant rat shows up. He realized CRISPR turned the rat into a total beast. Atkins books it toward the escape pod. Claire finally opens the door and Atkins makes it into the pod. The rat tries to smash through the door. Atkins detaches the pod and heads for Earth. She watches from the window as the whole ship gets totally wrecked. But unfortunately, the heat is too much and the pod's glass shatters. Atkins is toast. Back on Earth, we meet a 4-person squad led by this guy, Dr. Davis. He takes them to the San Diego sanctuary, where a bunch of gorillas live. Davis's crew gets their first up-close look at the gorillas. There's a new gorilla named Pavo in the mix. He's acting. Since it's his first time around his own kind, Davis tells the squad to stay on their toes while dealing with the gorillas. They head deeper into the sanctuary, and Davis tries to chill Pavo out using sign language. Davis's trick works, and Pavo totally cools off. But as soon as this mess, Davis tells his team to stay put. But Connor doesn't listen. He panics and bolts. Pavo chases him down to lay hands on him, but Mac steps in and sends him flying. Pavo gets spooked by Mac and backs off. Turns out Mac and Davis are super tight. Davis tells his crew to chill, saying Mac is actually a sweetheart. He's all about the jokes and laughs, so he asks him, since Pavo's still a kid. He tells him hunters took out Pavo's whole family, so he wants Mac to make him feel welcome. Mac's down with that. We also find out Mac's the last gorilla left of his kind. After wrapping up work, Davis hops in his ride and heads home. That night, we see those 3 samples. The first one lands near a pack of wolves. The second sample drops into a crocodile lake, and one of them swallows the whole thing. The third one lands right in the gorilla sanctuary, and Max sniffs up the entire substance. Next day, Davis rushes to the sanctuary because he heard Max not doing too hot and is acting super weird. His buddy Nelson tells him Mac broke into the bear enclosure, and when they head over there together, they find Mac actually killed a bear. Davis spots Mac hiding in the cave, so he goes to talk to him real chill. Mac's like, sorry for killing. Davis is shook because Mac's gotten way bigger. So he gets worried, but tries to calm him down and gets him back in the cave. Connor hits him up on the radio to come to the gorilla habitat, and when they get there, Connor and Amy show Davis the CRISPR sample. But they still had no clue what this stuff actually was. Cut to Chicago with Claire, the owner of Energy Nay. She's the boss. Her brother Brett is losing it because they lost the CRISPR samples. But Claire lets him know the 3 samples already hit Earth and shows him a news report about 3 meteors crashing down. So they gotta hit up those 3 spots to grab the samples, and she tells him she's reaching out to a private military company to handle the job of grabbing the samples, and we see the military squad gearing up. They hop on the plane and head to the first sample's crash site at the Wolf Canyon. But when they get there, the canister is empty. They update Claire on the situation and let her know every single wolf in the area is dead. Looks like one wolf took them all out, and Claire realizes this wolf got hit with that CRISPR stuff. So she tells Burke to snag that wolf no matter what. The squad moves out and starts tracking the wolf. They spot it moving through the trees, and Burke takes a shot. He thinks he got it. So they land the chopper to grab the body and head into the woods, but there's no sign of it. They see these massive tracks from the wolf and are totally tripping over the size of him. And while they're talking, the wolf pops out and wastes one of them. They try to open fire, but the thing is insanely fast. The wolf circles back and Burke's the only one left standing, and he sees his whole squad just wiped out. He tells his boy on the chopper to come pick him up, then books it toward the Healy with the wolf right on his tail. The soldier on the bird starts lighting the wolf up, and the wolf leaps into the air, showing off just how massive it is. It trashes the chopper's rotors. The bird goes down in flames. Meanwhile, Davis has Mac locked in a cage, and Nelson runs some blood work on him. Davis is shook by the results. He sees the growth hormones in his blood are spiking like crazy. That explains why Mac is getting so huge, and Nelson's like, this isn't the Mac we know anymore. We gotta call the feds, 'cause he's a threat now. But Davis wasn't feeling that idea at all. He's scared the government's gonna take Mac out, so they patch Mac up, and Davis promises to figure out the truth. Until he gets... Kate was a former scientist at Energy, and she sees the news blowing up about that spaceship crash and the samples that hit Earth, including one that landed right... The news is also buzzing about Mac the gorilla and how he bodied that bear, so she decides to head to the sanctuary. She meets up with Davis and tells him, look, I was working on the CRISPR sample that's messing Mac up. So, Davis takes her to the cage where Mac's locked down. He tells her the big guy gained 40 kilos in just one single day. Davis asks her to make it make sense, and so she breaks it down for him, saying this CRISPR stuff is a mix of like sharks, whales, and cheetahs. That's why Mac is... She tells him she's the only one who can fix Mac. Suddenly, he breaks out into the sanctuary, scaring the life out of everyone, then hits the streets and wrecks a car with a single punch. People are losing their minds seeing a gorilla that huge in the streets, and the cops show up ready to open fire. But Davis steps in and tells him he's the expert who handles them. He says he's got this, and tells them to lower their guns. He starts talking to Mac, calming him down with sign language, and the officers stand down. But then some guy in a chopper hits Mac with tranquilizer darts. Mac passes out and hits the deck. That night, the feds bust Davis and Kate, blaming them for the experiments on Mac. Then they meet Agent Russell, the guy who brought them and Mac in. Davis asks to see Mac right away to check on him, but Russell just roasts him for being besties and communicating with a gorilla. Later, the cops fly all three of them out, and Davis notices Mac's wounds are literally healing on their own. Kate tells him it's 'cause the CRISPR stuff has DNA that rat can literally regenerate. Davis tells him moving Mac on a plane is a bad idea, but Russell doesn't give a damn and tells him the gorilla is under a heavy sedative, so he's not waking up anytime soon, and he starts grilling Kate about... He tells her there's another wolf named Ralph who took the stuff and showed... Davis tells him Mac isn't to blame for what happened, and that they need to fix him. He thinks Kate can treat him since she works at but Russell drops the truth bomb that Kate used to work at Energy, 'cause she got fired 2 years ago. She even did 13 months in prison for stealing some data from him. Davis is shook and asks if she can... Davis gets frustrated and stops trusting her. Meanwhile, Claire finds out Kate got busted, but she suspects Kate is snitching to the cops to take down Energy, so she starts cooking up a plan. She heads up to the roof of her building, and goes to this. The whole point of this thing is to lure the 3 animals to the building. Then Claire can snag their DNA and flip it for millions of dollars later on. And just like that, because once those radio waves kick in, and for real, she starts cranking that radio device up. Ralph feels the vibes, stops trashing cars, and starts heading straight for the signal. Meanwhile, Lizzie, the mutated croc. As for Mac, he was doped up on sedatives, but he snaps out of it, goes full beast mode, and trashes the cage to break out. The officers start blasting, but it doesn't even faze him. He wipes them all out and starts wrecking the place. Nobody can stop him. Russell pulls out a heavy hitter and opens fire, but Mac just floors him like it's nothing. Davis breaks free and talks to Mac real chill. Actually, then the officers start shooting again. He loses it and just clocks that one guy. The gunfire hits the ammo and the plane blows up. Now it's just a countdown till the whole thing goes down and crashes. Davis and Kate are hanging on for dear life. Mac was about to end him, but a car falls on him and knocks him back. Then Davis and Kate grab the chutes. Davis grabs Russell too, since he was still knocked out cold. They pop their chutes and make it out just as the plane explodes below him, with Mac still inside. Davis is actually bummed out, thinking he's dead. But when they land, Mac's body is nowhere to be found, just some footprints. Basically, he survived and dipped. Russell gives Davis props for saving his life. He lets him know the feds are heading to Energen right now to grill Claire. Meanwhile, Claire's salty that Kate's still alive, and the feds show up to toss the place. Claire lets them search whatever they want, so they start checking out the lab. Claire tells Officer Park that Kate's the one behind all this mess. She says Kate's responsible for those animals hitting the street. She pins everything on Kate. Back to Davis and Kate. She says she's sorry for lying to him. Davis is like, that's just how people are. Humans will do whatever it takes to get their way. And that's exactly why I vibe with animals more. Because they don't have the same flaws humans do. Davis tells her, hunting down poachers who kill animals. In one of those wars in Africa, I found Mac hiding under a truck. He was just a baby then, and saw the poachers kill his parents right in front of him. Just to sell the gorilla fur for big bucks. Kate's like, you're right. A lot of people suck, but we're not. Even though humans killed Mac's parents, he still trusted you and loved you. Kate breaks down why she made CRISPR. She says her goal with this stuff was to save animals in the Arctic from going extinct, and also to save my brother's life. 'Cause he had cancer and there was nothing out there that could cure. But I was sure CRISPR would do the trick. Then Claire showed, but she played me and jacked my CRISPR tech to weaponize animal DNA for herself. When I tried to trash the stuff, Claire framed me for theft and threw me in the slammer. While I was locked up, my brother died. And I didn't even... He decides to trust her again, while a bit later, the Fed planes show up and take him to military HQ to meet Colonel Blake. Russell tells him we gotta get Davis and Kate on board. Because Davis is the one who raised Mac, and Kate used to work at Energen. She's the one who cooked up the stuff. They watch the military tracking Mac and Ralph as they head straight for Chicago at high speed. How are 2 different animals moving together like that? Kate says it's 'cause something's calling them. 'Cause I put bat DNA in the CRISPR tech, and bats follow whatever signal is calling them. And I remember Claire wanted to build a radio rig to lure the animals right to him. Looks like she pulled it off. So now Mac and Ralph are gonna do what Davis is like, we gotta evacuate Chicago, and these beasts, shooting them won't do squat 'cause they're constantly regenerating their cells. But Colonel Blake ain't hearing it. He thinks the military can handle them. He tells Davis and Kate they're staying put for questioning. Then the soldiers show up and bust him. They're being let out, but Davis grabs Kate and they duck into this room. The soldiers chase him and order him to come along. But Davis is like, word of advice, "Don't get in my way, 'cause I'll choke you out and end you. One hit from me," and they don't listen, so Davis beats the brakes off him and knocks him cold. Then they head out together looking for an exit. They find a bird and are about to hop in when Russell shows up. Davis tells him they gotta shut the military's plan ain't gonna cut it. Kate's like, "Claire's so they gotta grab that serum before the monsters turn." Russell's down with the plan and says, "Y'all saved my life, so I'm in." He hands him a phone so they can stay in touch. Davis and Kate hop in the bird and take off. Meanwhile, the military is dropping bombs on Mac and Ralph. The soldiers head in to make sure they're actually dead. But obviously, they're dead wrong. The beasts are still kicking and start wiping out the soldiers. Colonel Blake is shook. He orders a full evacuation of Chicago and sends in the elite special forces. But Davis was sure the military wouldn't be able. As soon as they hit the city, they saw the military trucks and the buses meant to evacuate everyone. But seconds later, the beasts show up and total chaos starts raining down on the city. They're tearing down buildings and wrecking military vehicles and jets. To make matters worse, the army finds out a third beast is closing in, and it's Lizzie the crocodile. The croc crawls out of the water and reveals itself, and they couldn't even handle two of them, and the croc's stomping them like bugs, and now all three monsters are just straight up leveling the city. Davis realizes only the serum can stop them, but Colonel Blake's already calling for the Russell tells him if that bomb drops, it's gonna wipe Chicago right off the map. But right as we're talking, they're looking for a way to stop the monsters. So I'm asking, but Blake's still hating on any plan that's not his. He orders Russell to get out, and once Russell's out, who tells him the Fed swept all the Energene servers except for one? Because only Claire and Brett have the password, so Russell decides to head straight for Chicago. Meanwhile, Davis and Kate hit up Energene to find anything helpful, while Claire realizes her plan's a total bust. There's no way to stop the beasts, so she's about to dip with her brother, but then she spots Davis and Kate on the cams. Kate manages to grab the serum, 3 samples, but right then, Claire and Brett bust in on him. Brett's got him at gunpoint, and Claire tells him this serum isn't gonna shrink the animals back to normal. It just chills out their aggression, and Claire takes the serum samples from her at gunpoint. Brett orders him to move right now, but when Davis refuses, Claire shoots Davis in the leg. He goes down and passes out, and Claire drags Kate away with her. By then, the 3 beasts had reached the HQ, and Claire and her crew were about to hop on the plane to dip. But before they can board, Mac shows up. Brett gets spooked and bolts, and Mac trashes the plane's tail. Davis saves Kate right before she's toast, and Kate's like, "I thought you were dead." He tells her the bullet didn't hit. Kate shows him she's still got another serum sample on her. So Davis tells her their mission is to get Mac that serum. Then he can help us take on Ralph and Lizzie, while Mac is busy smashing the radio transmitter at the same time. Claire pulls up on them and pulls a gun and orders Davis to distract Mac so she can bounce. Davis looks at Kate and she catches the vibe, and Davis starts shouting for Mac. Kate clocks Claire and stuffs the serum in her bag, then Mac grabs it and tosses it right into his mouth and eats it. Just like that, Mac's got the serum. 10 minutes later, Mac's gonna be totally chill while Brett has his laptop and a lab rat to finish the job later. But Russell shows up with a plan and tells Brett, "Hand over the laptop and the lab rat and I'll let you slide. You can bounce and I won't even cuff you." Brett totally falls for it, and he stepped out and the plane with the wrecked tail. Lizzie's trashing the building in her path, and the building starts coming down. Their plane goes alive. They see people who couldn't make it out in time from the rubble. The antidote finally kicked in. Not aggro anymore. He recognizes David, still alive, crawling out of the wreckage. Then we see the jets. Carrying the Moab closing in, Davis tells Kate to get a hold of Russell and tell him to call off the strike because there are still people in the city. And me and Mac will handle these monsters. Then he links with Mac and they realize they gotta take out Lizzie and Ralph. Mac manages to spear Lizzie with some rebar and fights Ralph, tossing him away, but turns out the dude can fly. Meanwhile, Davis notices Lizzie is waking up, so he starts blasting Ralph. The plan works, and he ducks out just in time. Lizzie manages to bite Ralph's, but obviously it doesn't do squat. She starts chasing Davis while he's barely hanging on for dear life, but eventually, Lizzie trips him up and is about to snack on him, but then explains the situation. Russell calls Colonel Blake and tells him to think twice before dropping the bomb, because the Lizzie was way stronger than him. She grabs Mac by the leg to finish him off, but Davis tosses a grenade. The grenade dazes her and she passes out for a few seconds. She was just about to smack Davis with her tail. But Mac takes the hit, and Lizzie tosses him onto a metal rod that impales his body. He tries to fight back and stand up to Lizzie, but he can't. Lizzie definitely has the upper hand. Davis finds a military chopper, hops in, and starts blasting Lizzie, so she'll let go of Mac. Davis lets Lizzie get real close and unloads the missiles point blank, but Lizzie doesn't even feel it. She starts chasing Davis to eat him and finish him off. Davis is cornered with nowhere to run. Luckily, Mac shows up and stabs Lizzie in the eye with that metal rod. Blake sees the whole thing and realizes Mac is on their side. Mac is totally exhausted and takes a breather. Davis tells him, "You saved my life, man. Together we saved the city." They shake hands, but then Mac stops breathing and dies. Davis is shook, and Kate comes over to comfort him. She tells him, "You saved millions of lives." They see families hugging it out, but then Mac moves his hand. Turns out he's alive and was just trolling Davis. Davis is hyped that Kate and Russell wonder where they're gonna put Mac now that he's this huge. And that's a wrap for today. Don't forget to smash that like button and help us hit 100 likes on this video.